Chapter 2 of Breaking the Outer Ring, Marine Landings in the Marshall Islands by John C. Chapin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Sidebars. Major General Holland M. Smith. One of the most famous Marines of his time, General Smith was born in 1882. He was commissioned a second lieutenant in 1905. There followed a series of overseas assignments in the Philippines, Nicaragua, Santo Domingo, and with the Marine Brigade in France in World War I. Beginning in the early 1930s, he became increasingly focused on the development of amphibious warfare concepts. Soon after the outbreak of war with Japan in 1941, he was assigned to a crucial position, command of all Marines in the Central Pacific. As another Marine officer later described him, he was of medium height, perhaps 5 feet 9 or 10 inches, and somewhat paunchy. His once black hair had turned gray. His once close-trimmed mustache was somewhat scraggly. He wore steel-rimmed glasses and he smoked cigars incessantly. There was one other feature that characterized him, a ferocious temper that earned him the nickname Howlin' Mad Smith, although his close friends knew him as Hoke. This characteristic would usually emerge as irritation at what he felt were substandard performances. One famous example of this was his relief of an Army general from his command. It came when an Army division was on the line alongside 2 Marine divisions on Saipan in the Marianas Islands campaign following the Marshall's operation. A huge inter-service uproar erupted. Less than 2 years later, after 41 years of active service, during which he was awarded 4 Distinguished Service Medals for his leadership in 4 successful amphibious operations, he retired in April 1946 as a 4-star general. He died in January 1967. Major General Harry Schmidt. The leader of the 4th Marine Division at Roy Namur was born in 1886 and entered the Corps as a second lieutenant in 1909. By extraordinary coincidence, his first foreign duty was at Guam in the Marianas Islands, an area he would return to 33 years later under vastly different circumstances. The Philippines, Mexico, Cuba, and Nicaragua, where he was awarded a Navy Cross, second only to the Medal of Honor, interspersed with repeated stays in China, were the marks of a diverse overseas career. At home, there were staff schools, paymaster duties, and a tour as assistant commandant. By the end of the war, he had been decorated with 3 Distinguished Service Medals. Retiring in 1948 after 39 years of service, he was advanced to the 4-star rank of general. He died in 1968. A contemporary described him as a Buddha, a typical old-time Marine. He had been in China. He was regulation old establishment, a regular Marine. The 4th Marine Division. This division was formed as the result of the organization and redesignation of several other units. The 23rd Marines began as infantry detached from the 3rd Division in February 1943, the same month that an artillery battalion of the 12th Marines became the genesis of the 14th Marines, and engineer elements of the 19th Marines formed the nucleus of the 20th Marines. In March, the 24th Marines was organized, and then in May it was split in 2 to supply the men for the 25th Marines. This wartime shuffling provided the major building blocks for a new division. The units were originally separated, however, with the 24th Marines and a variety of reinforcing units, engineer, artillery, medical, motor transport, special weapons, tanks, etc., at Camp Pendleton in California. The rest of the units were at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. This East Coast echelon moved to Pendleton by train and transit of the Panama Canal in July and August. When all the units were finally together, the 4th Marine Division was formally activated on 14 August 1943. After intensive training, it shipped out on 13 January 1944, and in 13 short months made 4 major assault landings. Roy-na-Mur, Saipan, Tinian, and Iwo Jima, suffering more than 17,000 casualties. It was awarded 2 presidential unit citations and a Navy unit commendation, and then deactivated 28 November 1945. In February 1966, however, it was reactivated as the lead division in the Marine Corps Reserve, and major units later served with distinction in the Persian Gulf. End of Chapter 2.